He ate his meals in silence. He played with his toys. He slept peacefully. He never once asked what happened to Holly. On the morning of the fourth day, the bell at the front gate rang. Robert was still dressing for a meeting when the housekeeper, Mrs. Horton, answered. She returned moments later, her face pale and confused. "Mr. Thorn," she said, wringing her hands. "There's a woman at the gate. She says she's the new nanny." Robert frowned. "We didn't request anyone." "Not yet. She says she was sent by the agency. Claims there was a mix-up in communication." That didn't sit right with Robert. He hadn't contacted any agency yet. He hadn't even begun the search. But the woman at the gate had credentials, and she was already carrying a worn leather suitcase. Her name was Mrs. Baylock. She was not what they expected. She was older, perhaps in her late 50s, with short-cropped gray hair and skin like old paper. Her smile was fixed but didn't touch her eyes. She moved with quiet certainty, as though she already knew every corner of the house. "May I see the boy?" she asked within moments of stepping inside. Katherine hesitated. "He's still asleep." "No matter," Baylock said calmly. "I'll wait." There was no softness in her voice, no warmth. But somehow, the way she spoke made it sound like she already belonged here. As if she'd always been part of the family, and everyone else had simply forgotten. Robert called the agency, out of caution. They claimed no one had been sent yet. He confronted Baylock. "I came on special recommendation," she replied. "Sometimes, the right people are placed when they're needed most." Something in her tone made it feel less like an explanation, and more like a warning. That night, Baylock moved into the nanny's quarters. By morning, she had already taken over Damien's routine. She served him breakfast. She dressed him. She spoke to him in a soft but commanding tone, as if she were not simply a caretaker, but something more. A guardian. A guide. A protector. Katherine felt uneasy. "I didn't hire her," she whispered to Robert. "I didn't choose this woman. She just showed up." Robert nodded. "I'll look into it." But days passed, and Baylock stayed. Every attempt to dismiss her failed. She always had a reason to remain. A note. A phone call. A document. And Damien seemed to adore her. Within a week, Mrs. Baylock was no longer just the nanny. She was part of the walls, part of the air in the Thorn estate. Silent when spoken to, invisible when not, and yet always there. The staff began to avoid her. They wouldn't say why. Averted eyes, muttered excuses. Something about her presence made their skin crawl. Katherine tried to stay calm. She had told herself that everything was fine, just stress, just the trauma of Holly's suicide, but the unease was like a seed taking root. The first real sign came on a Wednesday morning. Katherine had woken early, well before sunrise. The house was quiet. She padded softly down the hall in her robe, intent on checking in on Damien. She hadn't heard him stir all night. A mother's instinct was pulling her forward. She opened the door gently. The nursery was dark, and Mrs. Baylock was already inside, standing perfectly still in the shadows by the window. Katherine froze. "What are you doing in here?" Baylock turned slowly. "He had a nightmare," she said. "I was watching over him, but I didn't hear." "He didn't cry," Baylock replied. "He never cries." Her voice was so soft, so final. Katherine nodded, unsure why. She backed out of the room, her skin cold. She didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, Robert noticed something else. In the garden, near the tree where Holly had hung herself, stood the black Rottweiler. Again. He stormed into the house. "There's that damn dog again," he growled. "I thought I told security to keep the gates locked." Mrs. Horton looked pale. "The gates are locked, sir." Later that day, as he returned from the embassy, Robert saw the dog again, inside the house. It was lying just outside Damien's bedroom, its head resting on its paws, tail motionless. The moment Robert stepped into the hallway, it growled. A low, warning sound. Mrs. Baylock appeared behind him. "He's here to protect the boy," she said simply. "I don't want that thing in my house," Robert snapped. Baylock didn't flinch. "He stays with Damien. He needs him." That night, Robert tried to have the dog removed. The security team brought a cage. It was found the next morning, bent inward, like something had crushed it from the inside. The dog was still there. And no one tried again. Katherine was growing afraid of her son. It was in the way he looked at her now, not with love, or even curiosity, but with a kind of silent judgment. Like he knew something she didn't. Something important. Something terrible. One afternoon, while gardening near the edge of the property, she spotted Damien standing at the window above. He was just watching her. Still, pale, expressionless. The dog stood beside him, like a statue. Then the glass shattered. A bird, wild and screaming, had thrown itself into the window. Blood streaked the pane. Damien didn't flinch. Katherine dropped her tools and ran inside. Later that evening, she opened Damien's closet while tidying his room, and found drawings. Dozens of them. Crude crayon sketches. Each one more disturbing than the last. A stick figure with a rope around its neck. A dog with red eyes. A woman falling. A church on fire. And in every drawing, Damien was smiling. London's grey skies sagged heavy with a brooding weight, the kind of overcast that seemed to press against the earth, choking the light from above. The fog slithered down alleyways and across cobblestones like a iving thing, hiding secrets in its cold mist. The Thorn estate stood in unnerving silence, as if the very bricks and mortar sensed the evil curled in its shadow. Inside, Robert Thorn stared blankly at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, the events of recent days gnawing at the edges of his sanity. Damien, his son, or rather, the child he had raised as his own, was not like other boys. There was something in Damien's gaze, something ancient and cold, something that stirred terror in the hearts of animals and made grown men falter. Robert could no longer deny that darkness was taking root. And then came Father Brennan. The priest emerged like a phantom from the swirling fog, wild-eyed and pale, clutching a crucifix like a weapon. His clothes were rumpled, soaked from the rain, and he trembled, not from the cold, but from something deeper. Something he had seen. Something he knew. Robert was at his office when Brennan forced his way past the secretary, storming into the room with the desperation of a man being hunted. "You must listen to me," Brennan shouted, his voice raw with urgency. "Your son, Damien, he is not human." Robert rose from his chair, heart thudding. "Father, I think you should calm down." "There's no time for calm," Brennan snapped, stepping closer. "You must take communion. You must accept Christ. Only that can save you now." "Save me from what?" Robert asked, unnerved. Brennan's eyes were rimmed with sleeplessness, bloodshot and haunted. "From him. From the child. He is the son of the devil. Born of a jackal, switched at birth. He is the Antichrist, and he will destroy you. He will kill everyone you love." Robert's breath caught in his throat. The words were so absurd, so theatrical, they should have been laughable. But Brennan's terror was real. It bled from every pore of the man's body. "I saw his mother," Brennan whispered. "I saw the beast. It was no woman, it was an animal. And you were chosen to raise him, to protect him, to guide the coming darkness."